Hi guys, good night everybody. Just let me know if you guys can hear me before I start, please. Alright guys, so tomorrow is going to be the maths paper 1 and it's going to be your final CSEC exam. So I just want to make a correction from a question I did last night. So normally, so there's some students who you can get like 99 questions correct, and the one that you do get wrong, they highlight the one that you do get wrong. So I'm just going to make a correction to question 43 in the paper that we did last night. I added something wrong, so let me just fix that one time. So in this question here, we had a bar chart, and it shows the ages of children who took part in a survey. So the question says, a child is selected at random. What is the probability that the child scored, the child is more, and I put more in caps here, more than 4 years old. So if the child is more than 4 years old, the child could be 5, 6, 7, or 8. So we're looking at probability here. So the probability that the age is greater than 4. Alright, so we're going to add up 5 here. That corresponds to 4 children, and 2, that's 4 and 2, 6, and 5, 11, and 1, 12. So there are 12 kids who have an age greater than 4. And the total number of children in the survey would have been 12 plus this 3 here, which is 15. So therefore, if I reduce this, it is going to be 4 over 5. So again, correction here, right? So that's when I'm trying to add things too quickly here, right? So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be selecting questions at random from different papers in order for you all to get a feel for what may or may not come tomorrow. So let's have a look at this question here. If you all think you know the answer, you can put it in the chat. So we want to know the value of the digit 2 in this number here. So we have 748.621. And we want to know what's the value of this digit 2 here. That's this number here. What do you all think is the answer for this? It's a combination of questions, guys, right? It's a combination of questions. Not one specific paper. Right? I've seen people saying the answer is A. Let's check and see if that's really correct. So this number here, this 2 here is in the 100th position. So that is actually 2 over 100. That's the value of that 2 there. But if you look at the answers, we don't have any answer looking like that. So what we could do is to write that as 2 over 10 squared. So the answer is going to be E. I agree. The answer is A. What about this question here? I have 17 squared minus 15 squared, and I want to find the square roots. Now, I notice there are some students who are just leading off answers. Please avoid doing that. You still have to know how to work out the problem, right? You still have to know how to work out the problem. It's possible some of the questions from the Jan paper might show up tomorrow. It's very possible. So a lot of people saying the answer is C. So we want to work out 17 squared minus 15 squared. And you want to find the square root. Again, remember, no calculators allowed. So 17 squared minus 15 squared, that's the difference of 2 squares. So you can actually write that as 17 plus 15 multiplied by 17 minus 15. So just like how we factorize the difference of two squares, you can write it like this. In this case here, 17 plus 15 here, that's going to be 7 and 5 is 12. So this is 32. And that is 32 multiplied by 17 minus 15 is going to give you 2. So this is going to be 32 by 2. That's 64. And that's the square root of 64. And that's going to give us 8. So again, they're kind of forcing us not to use a calculator here. But the answer is going to be C in this case here. Okay? Let's see what else I have here. This next one is based on distributive law. What about this one here? We have 99 multiplied by 101. Which of those is equivalent to that? I'm not too sure. I might go till 10 maybe. Oh, 60 questions in an hour and a half. There are lots of students who finish that exam in 45 minutes, right? All right, so yeah, somebody saying they normally square for that last question. You don't have to square. That's too much work, right? You have to work smarter in some of these exams. All right, so a lot of people, we have 99 multiplied by 101. Basically, what they're trying to see here is if we know about the distributive law. So what I could do, I can write this as 99 multiplied by 100 plus 1. So I'm breaking up the 101. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take 99 multiplied by 100. So this is going to be 99 multiplied by 100. And then you're going to take this 99 here and you're going to multiply it by plus 1. So this is going to be 99 multiplied by 1. So we're looking to see which one is correct there, right? Which one is correct. So in terms of the answers here, the correct answer is going to be D based on what I'm seeing here. So this is the correct answer. This question here that I'm going to show you here, this here is a relatively new question, right? It's a new question that appeared in the Jan 2025 paper. They gave them a shopping list and they wanted them to work out. Right, so they gave them a shopping list here and they wanted you to work out the missing values in the shopping list here. So the first thing we need to do, we need to figure out what P is. Now this is a lot of working just for one question though. It's a lot of working just for one question. So on your shopping bill, you have your item, you have your unit cost, and you have your total cost. So you all have to understand that if you want to work out total cost price, you're going to take whatever the item is and multiply by the unit cost. So if you want to work out what P is here, the price of the 4 kilogram of flour, all you're going to do, you're going to take the 1240, that's the total cost, and you're going to divide that by 4 in order to get your unit price for this flour. So in this case here, that is going to be, so 4 can go into 12 3 times, so it's $3.10. So while you all work any question here, try to see which one. So you know that the P is 310, so you could tick this off, tick this off. So you know the answer is either B or D. Next thing we need to do, we need to figure out what is Q and what is T. So how are we going to get T? The thing is, you know the price for the flour and the sugar, and you know your total or your subtotal here. So what you will have to do in this case here, we're going to take 1240, add that to the 720. So you're going to get $19.60. So that's the cost of the flour plus the sugar. Now if you want to get T now, all you need to do is to take $40.40. So 40, 40, and you're going to subtract the 1960 that we just got. So in this case here, how we're gonna have to borrow here. So this will become 3. This will be a 10 here. We still need to borrow. So this will become 9, and this will be 14. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 14 minus 6 is going to give us 8, and then 9 minus 9 is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2. So this here is $20.80. But you realize both of them had $20.80. So you really didn't need to calculate that. So now to get Q now, again, this is like unit price. So you're going to take your total price, which is the $20.80, and you're going to divide that by 8 in order to get what the value of Q is. So 8 can go into 20 2 times. That's 2 8 is 16. And then you have a remainder 4. So then 8 into 48 is 6. So therefore that's $2.60. So therefore the answer is going to be D. Now this is, like I said, this is a relatively new question. So don't be surprised if it shows up in the exam tomorrow, right? So that is number 13 here. Now there's another question on this as well. They want you to work out. So for the same bill, they want us to work out what is the VAT. So VAT is value added tax. So you want to get, now the tax here is 8% and the subtotal is $40.40. So you want to figure out what is the actual VAT. So the VAT in this case here, 8% multiplied by your subtotal, which is $40.40. It's 40, yeah. All right, so 8% is the same as 8 over 100 multiplied by $40.40. So in this case here, let's do some reduction. So 4 can go into 8 2 times, and 4 can go into 100. That's 20, 25, right? Multiplied by $40.40, right? So now this is where some of your simplification skills is going to come into play. So what I will do, I'll first work out 2 by 4, 40, 40. So 40, 40 multiplied by 2. So that's easy. That's going to be $80.80. So that's step 1. That's what the numerator is going to be now. Now I have to divide that by 25. So in this case, we have $80.80, and you're dividing that by 25. Now this here is a little tricky to simplify. So what we can do, we can start dividing. 25 can go into 80 3 times. Right? 25 can go into 80 3 times. So this is going to be 3. So 25 into 80 is 75. So then you're going to have 4 remainder. So this is going to be 48. So this is 3 point. Then we have 25 can go into 48 1 time. So this is going to be 48 minus 25. 8 take away 5 is 3. So this is 13. So in this case here, we're going to get, that's now 80, 80. One sec, let me double check something here. 25 into this is 75. Oh, that's how I wrote something wrong here. Let's do this calculation over. All right, so 25 can go into this 80 here 3 times. So 3 by 25 is 75. So therefore, you're going to have 5 remainder. So this is going to be 58 here. So now, 25 into 58, you're going to get 2. So 2 by 25 is 50. So you're going to have a remainder of 8. So this is going to be 80. And then 25 can go into 80 3 times. So actually you're getting a lot more for the answer. But in this case here, the answer is going to be B. I hope that making sense. Yeah, no, that was an error, right? It's going to be 5, not 4, all right? Alright, give me one sec, pull in the next set of questions here. What about this question here? So the circumference of a circle is 154 cm. Given that pi is 22/7, the diameter of the circle is what? So circumference is given by two formulas. We have circumference as being 2 pi r, that's one formula. Circumference is also given by pi multiplied by your diameter. That's another formula we can use. So in this case here, we want to work out the diameter. So circumference is 154. So we can say that pi multiplied by your diameter is equal to your circumference. So pi is 22/7 multiplied by your diameter is equal to your circumference, which is 154. So therefore, if I want to work out your diameter, it is going to be 154 multiplied by 7/22. You all with me there? Yeah, somebody's asking if they have these answers on standby. Yeah, I feel a lot of people like they probably just load off some answers, right? Right, so to work out something like this here, right, what you can do, you can take the 154 and you multiply by the 7. All right, so again, in this paper, you can't use a calculator, so you have no choice. So 154 by 7, that's going to give you 7 4s are 28, 7 5s are 35, 36, 37, 1 7 is 7, and 3 is 10, so that's 1078. So this is 1078 all over 22. And if I were you and I'm in the exam here and I'm trying to figure out how am I really going to do this way, what you can do is start with something simple. You will notice that the top number, the numerator is an even number. The denominator is also an even number. So if I were you, this is what I will do. I'll divide top and bottom by 2. So this will be 5. 3 2s are 6. This is 539 all over 11, right? And now we can start working on this now. So 539 divided by 11. 11 could go into 53 4 times. So it's going to be 4. 4 by 11 is 44. So let's take 53 and minus 44. Right? So that's how much? 9. Yeah, that's 9. So therefore, this will become 99 here. So 11 into 99, you're going to get 9. So this is going to be 49 cm. So you have to kind of find shortcuts that we could use in order to work out these things. The next one here. Now this is a graph that tends to appear in the exam a lot. It is a quadratic and it has a maximum point. Now what they did in this question though, they changed the wording of this question. Could you all tell me what the answer is for this one? The coordinates of the turning point of the function. What are they talking about here? It's a combination of paper, guys. It's not one specific paper. I'm pulling questions from different papers here. right? A lot of people saying the answer is D. Is it really D? Whenever you guys see the word turning point, a turning point could be a max or a min. So in this case here, the maximum point is this point here, and that coordinate is given by 2, 4. That's the turning point here. So that's going to be D, right? Now be careful, don't mix it up. Our next question here. So we have a function g of x, and they want to work out g of minus 6. Now, again, a warning for those of you learning off answers. They may change some of the wording of the questions, and you have to be prepared, right? No calculator in this paper, people. There are no calculators allowed in the multiple choice maths exam. Right? A lot of people saying the answer is A. Let's check that. So g of x is equal to 7x minus 3 all over 5. You want to work out g of minus 6. You're going to substitute minus 6 into this. So that's going to be 7 by minus 6 minus 3 all over 5. So 7 6s are 42, but this is going to be minus 42 minus 3 all over 5. So minus 42 minus 3 is going to give you minus 45 all over 5, and that's going to give you minus 9. So that's the answer there. Minus 9, which is going to be E. Right? Again, some people are asking which paper is this. It's a combination of papers here we're pulling from. What about this question here? The determinant of the identity matrix is what? What's the determinant of the identity matrix? Right, I've seen people saying the answer is A. Let's double check that. So the first thing, you need to know what the identity matrix is, which is 1, 0, 0, 1. That's your identity matrix. So if you want to work out, so this is I, and if you want to work out the determinant of the identity matrix, all you're going to do, you're going to say this by this. So that's 1 by 1 minus 0 by 0. So in this case here, that's going to be 1 minus 0, and that's going to give us 1. Right? So the answer is A, like you all are saying. That's true. I'm looking at some of these questions here and I'm seeing so many repeats. Not funny. Right, our next question here. The sum of two positive numbers P and Q is 32 and the difference is 12. What is the smaller number? What is the answer for this one here? Right, I've seen a lot of people saying the answer is A. Let's check that. So the sum of two positive numbers is 32. So P plus Q, when I add those two numbers, you're going to get 32. And the difference, so we don't know what the difference is, if it's P minus Q or Q minus P, doesn't matter. So P minus Q, the difference is given by 12, right? So the sum of two positive numbers is 32 and their difference is 12. They want to know what is the smaller number. So really and truly what we have here is a pair of simultaneous equations, if you all don't realize this. So this is your equation 1, and this is your equation 2, and we can use elimination to work this out. So if I were you, if I add both equations, I will eliminate Q. If I add both equations, I'll eliminate Q. So P plus P, you're going to get P. Q plus minus Q will give me 0. And when I add this here, I'm going to get 3 and 1, 4. So this is 44. So therefore, P is equal to 44 over 2. So therefore, P is equal to 22. Now that's only one of the numbers here we worked out. We still need to figure out what Q is, because the question is asking which one is the smaller. So what we can do, we can say that P plus Q is equal to 32. So therefore Q is 32 minus P. So therefore Q is equal to 32 minus 22. So 2 minus 2 is 0, 3 minus 2 is 1. So therefore the answer is going to be E. Find some of you all answer that real quick, like I didn't knew the answer before, right? Let's have a look at this question here. Yeah, I teach my students how to work out a problem, not learn off answers, right? So some people asking about so much working. Yeah, you have to, you must do the working, right? But you're not getting points for the working, eh? Well, if you guess the correct answer, well, great, right? Just make sure it's the correct answer. All right, so we have a multiplication here. We have 3x squared multiplied by 2x cubed. What's the answer for this? All right, everybody saying B. In this case here, let's see. So we have 3x squared multiplied by 2x cubed. So the first thing you would do is to multiply the numbers. So 3 by 2 will give us 6. And then we have to multiply the x squared and the x cubed. Since we have the same base, we're going to add indices. So 2 plus 3 is going to give us 5. So in this case here, it's going to be 6x to the power 5. So when you're all doing questions, make sure you select the correct answers. Make sure you select the correct answers. Sometimes students work out the problem and they still select the wrong answer. What about this one? When you're multiplying two matrices, what can be said here? Two matrices A and B are conformable for multiplication if Alright, I've seen some answers coming through here. So just remember, whenever you have to multiply two matrices, so if you have a M by N matrix and you want to multiply that by a N, or let's say a P by Q matrix, what is supposed to happen is that this number here and this number here, they have to be the same in order for the matrices to be multiplied. So the order of the first matrix is m by n, and the order of the second matrix is p by q. These two matrices are said to be conformable for multiplication if n is equal to p. Now in this case here, n is actually the number of columns. So it's the number of columns in the first matrix, and p is the number of rows in the second matrix. So this is what we're looking for in our answer. The number of columns in the first must equal to the number of rows in the second one. So let's see, number of columns in A must equal, so the answer is going to be B, right? So just be careful, right? Just be careful how you are looking at the answer here, right? The answer is going to be B, right? Some people saying the answer is A. No, it's not A, it's B. Let's try next one here. Now I'm only selecting the challenging questions in some of these papers, and things that may or may not show up tomorrow. So we have a parallelogram here. In the parallelogram, x, y is u, x, w is v, and r is the midpoint of y, z. So based on the information here, if I were you, I'll write down all the vectors that I know. So this here has to be u, and when I'm going in this direction here, that vector has to be v. Now, question one's, what is the vector WR? So it's starting at W, and you want to head to R here. That's what we want. So, based on the diagram, if I want to go W to R, so how I normally teach this is as if we drive in a car. If you want to go from W to R, you can go from W to Z, and then from Z to R. Now this is where things get a little tricky. So W to Z is given by the vector U. That is good. But then I want to go ZR, right? Make sure I'm saying this correct. Yeah. So we want to go this way. We want to go ZR. Now R is actually the midpoint of YZ. But the thing is, ZR is going to be a half of the vector that is YZ. Now the thing is, you're going in the opposite direction, so you need to put in a minus sign here. So this is going to be negative V. So in this case, it's going to be U minus a half V. So we're looking for an answer that gives us that. So U minus a half V. So the answer is going to be A in this case here. Right? Hope you all seen that. What about this question? So I'm only looking at the tricky questions there, guys. At a sale, each book is marked $3 off the original price. So each book is $3 off the original price. Daniel paid $46 for 2 books and had the same sale price. What is the original cost of one of his books? What do you all think is the answer for this one? You'd be surprised how many people might get this wrong, right? You'd be surprised. Some people saying A, some people saying D. All right. So they're telling us in the question, they said each book, right? At the sale, each book is marked $3 off the original price. Now he paid $46 for 2 books. So that means that each book, right? Each book will have cost him $23. So each book would have cost him $23. So that means, remember, you're getting $3 off each book. So therefore, the actual price of these books would have been 23 plus 3, and that would have been $26. Okay? So the original price would have been $26. Right? Let's have a look at 1 or 2 Venn diagrams here. Because we get about 4 or 5 questions just based on Venn diagrams. So we have a Venn diagram here that is shaded. The shaded area represents what? What's that shaded area there? You all know this question is so old. This question appeared in my exam way back whenever. So if you look at the diagram here, what they've done, they've shaded everything that is outside of P here. Everything outside P. Everything outside P is simply P prime. Right? Everything outside P is just P prime. Our next measurement question here. Item 32 refers to the diagram and it shows a sector, right? And the area of AOB is given by what? The area of AOB. Right? People saying the answer is A. Let's check that. So if you want to get the area of a sector is given by theta over 360 multiplied by pi r squared. Now, keep in mind this formula is actually given to you all in the exam. There's a formula sheet in the multiple choice. So if you open the paper, on the first page you'll see a formula sheet. So this is going to be 60 degrees over 360 multiplied by the area of a full circle, which is pi r squared. So 60 over 360 is actually 1 over 6 multiplied by pi r squared. So the answer is simply going to be E. Right? The answer is going to be E. Let's have a look at this next measurement question here. So we have a diagram here. It shows a cylinder and the diameter is 6 and the height is 21. Given that pi is 22 over 7, the volume of the cylinder is given by what? Right, I see in some people can't remember. Okay, so you want to work out the volume of the cylinder. So the volume of a cylinder is given by pi r squared h. That's the volume of a cylinder. Now they gave us pi as 22 over 7. So that's 22 over 7 multiplied by the radius squared. Now that's the radius of the circle. This 6 cm here is the diameter, so the radius is actually 3 cm. So this is 3 cm multiplied by an next 3 cm because it's squaring it, and you're multiplying that by the height, which is 21. Height is 21. So all you're going to do, this 7 can go into this 3 times. So you're going to end up with 22 multiplied by 3 3s are 9, 3s are 27. So again, you have to work this out. So that's going to be 27 multiplied by 22. 7 2s are 14, 2 2s are 4 and 1 5. Shift, 7 2s are 14, 5. So this is going to be 594. So therefore the answer is going to be C. Make sure you know how to calculate these things, you know, don't just learn out the answers. Alright, so is the area of the cross section, which is the circle, multiplied by the height. So be careful. The next question. A rectangular garden plot is 15 meters long, 12 meters wide. An area of 80 meters squared is used for a vegetable garden. What area of the plot is not used for vegetable garden? So if I were you, basically this is what we have. We have a rectangle. And it is 15 by 12. So 15 meters by 12 meters. And what they're trying to say is that 80 meters squared is used for a vegetable garden. So let's block off piece of this here. So piece of this here is 80. So therefore, if you want to work out what is not used for the vegetable garden, all we do, we work out 15 multiplied by 12. 5 2s are 10. 1, 2, 3. This is 5. This is 1. So this is 180. So that's the area of the whole rectangle. And if you want to remove the vegetable garden, then it'll be 180 minus 80, so you'll get 100. So the answer is going to be B for this one here. Or this one. So we have a sector or a circle. See what they want us to work out here. The diagram shows a circle centered O, a major sector, and a minor sector. Now what they want us to work out here. If the area of the major sector is 115.5, then the diameter of the circle is what? Now, remember that your two formulas for our circle, area is given by pi r squared. We also know that your diameter is simply 2 times the radius. So here's what you're going to do. So you know the major sector here is 115.5. Now that major sector here, because this angle is 90 degrees, you know that 3/4 of the circle is actually 115.5. That's what you know. 3/4 of the circle is 15.5. So what I will do if I were you, so 3/4 of the circle is equivalent to 115.5. So what you can do is work out what a quarter is. Now this is just one way of working it. Some students, they find other ways of working it. So to get 1/4, all you're going to do is take that 115.5 and you're going to divide that by 3. So 115.5, let's divide that by 3. So in this case here, you're going to get 3 3s are 9. That's 25. So this is 8. And this is going to be 5. So this is 38.5. So that is for 1/4 of the circle. So one full circle is going to be 38.5 by 4. Let's going to try to find space to work this here. 38.5 by 4. So that's 5 4s are 20. 8 4s 4 32, 32, 33, 34. 3 4s are 12, that's 50. So that's 154. So therefore the area of the whole circle is 154 cm squared. That's the area of the whole circle. So now, since you know the area of the whole circle is 154, you can say pi r squared is 154. So 22 over 7 multiplied by your radius squared is equal to 154. So therefore r squared is equal to 154 multiplied by 7 over 22. So actually we just worked this out here. We had a question like this just now. So 154 by 7 over 22. This is going to give us 49. So therefore r is equal to the square root of 49. R is equal to 7. Right? Now looking correct there, or something looking wrong here? Finally looking kind of iffy. Right, let me just double check this here. Okay. 115.5 divided by 3 over 4. 154. 154 by 7 over 22. You get 49. Alright, so the radius is that. Yeah, okay, so the radius is 7. But the question, so this question is a pretty long question though, because they want the diameter. So read this carefully here. Next thing you see, they bring this tomorrow and they say they want the radius. So the diameter is going to be 2 times 7, which is going to be 14. So some of these questions here, they require a little more effort. So the answer is 40. Now this question here is a new question. So you have this solid here. And it's a compound solid. And you want to work out the surface area of this compound solid. Whenever you are given a question like this, you need to identify all of the faces that are present. All of the faces. So let's see. What if I were you, I'll write in all the dimensions I do know. This here has to be 10. This is 10 cm. And you want to work out the total surface area. So what you could do, this shape here is a trapezium, and you have 2 of them. So let's work out the area of one trapezium. Area of one trapezium here is going to be a half the sum of the parallel sides. So that's going to be 18 plus 10 multiplied by the spacing, which is 12. So this is the area of that face that we just shaded it. So this is going to be a half. 18 plus 10 is 28. Multiplied by 12. So this is going to be 14 multiplied by 12. Right? Now just to speed up the process here, I'm just going to use the calculator. Right? So this is 168. So that's 168 cm squared. So that's just that one piece here. So now let's keep a track of what we're going to add. So that's 168 plus, we have our next one on the back here. There's our next 168 in the back here. So that's 168. Now the other faces that we have a face in the back here, which is a rectangle. So that's going to be 18 multiplied by 10. So that's going to give us 180. So we have to add an next 180. So that's the face to the back. What else we missing? We have the base. The base is going to be 12 by 10. That's 120. So we have to add a 120 here. So that takes care of the back, the base. We have the part to the front. So that's 10 by 10. That's 100. And then we have this slanted piece here. The slanted piece here is 13 by 10. So that's 130. Alright, so let's see how many faces that should have been. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 5, 6. So we just need to add this up here and hopefully we get one of those answers. So that's 168 plus 168 plus 180 plus 120 plus 230. And you're going to get, so I'm getting 866 cm squared. So again, this is a new question, huh? Right? This is a new question. Right, so again, this is a solid, and whenever you are asked to find the surface area for a solid, you have to look at all the possible faces. Okay, and again, I'm telling you, this is a new question, so chances are it could reappear tomorrow. The distance around the lake is 8 kilometers. On a map, this distance on the lake is represented by 4 cm. What is the scale? So you're talking about a scale here. So 4 cm on a map represents 8 kilometers, right? 8 kilometers. Now, whenever you have a scale, the two numbers that make up a scale, so if a scale is written as 1 to n, the unit for this has to be the same unit for this. Right now, you have cm on the left and you have kilometers on the right hand side. So the first thing I would do if I were you, I will say, so what you could do, you can say 1 cm. If 4 cm represents 8 kilometers, it means that 1 cm represents 2 kilometers. So what I will do, I will convert this kilometers here into centimeters. How do you do that? So 2 kilometers, if you want to convert that to, let's say, meters first, you multiply by 1,000. So this is going to be 2,000 meters, right? 2,000 meters. If you want to convert meters into centimeters, you have to multiply by 100. So in this case, you're going to add 2 more zeros now. So that's going to be 200. And this is going to be cm. So therefore, your scale looks like this. 1 cm represents 200,000 cm. So therefore, the scale has to be 1 to 200,000. That's what the scale is supposed to be. So this here is going to be D for the answer. All right. Let's going to do this question here again. I've seen a lot of students struggle with things like this. Actually, wait, no. I think we did this one last night, John. Hold on. All right, so we have a diagram here, and it shows a cumulative frequency curve here for 20 seedlings. The semi-interquartile range of the set of measurements is what? So you want semi-interquartile range. So semi-interquartile range is equal to a half of your interquartile range. So that is actually a half. Your interquartile range is your upper quartile minus your lower quartile. That's what it is. So before I can calculate semi-interquartile range, I need to figure out what is Q3 and I need to figure out what Q2 is. So we have the cumulative frequency goes up to 20. So if you want to read off what is your upper quartile, so upper quartile here will be 3/4 multiplied by 20. So that's going to be 15. This just tells me where I need to read off for the upper quartile. So you're going to read from 15 and you're going to go across here and then you're going to come down, right? So that looks like about 2.246. It's looking like about 2.6. Let's see what happens. The graph kind of warped here. If you want to get the lower quartile, that's going to be 1/4 multiplied by 20. So that's going to be 5. So you're going to read off at 5 here what the lower quartile is. So what does that look like there? So that's about 1.2. It's looking like a little more than, this looks like about 1.25. That's what it's looking like to me, right? Let's look over that Q3 again there. Q3 looking like about 2.6. So let's see if we get an answer here. So 2.6 minus 1.25. All right, so this is 5, 10. It's 1.35. We got to find half of that. So we're going to divide this by 2. So this is going to be 0.62 at 12. And this is going to be 0.67 something. So based on the answers here, right? Now I'm trying to read off these things here. And because the graph is a little warped, the answer is going to be a little off, right? So for this one here, for this one here, I would say the answer is A for this one here, right? I'm getting 0.67 here, but that's how you're reading off the graph, right? They said semi-interquartile range, semi-interquartile range. So some of you all saying 1.3, you have to divide the answer by 2. Right, I've seen some people saying the answer is B for that one. You see, they're asking for the semi-interquartile range. So it can't be 1.3. The word is semi here. You have to find half of that answer, right? What about this one here? You want to figure out what is angle Y. You want to figure out what is angle Y. What's the answer for this one? Right? Some of these people are asking about Jan 2025. Yeah, some of the questions from the Jan paper will repeat. Alright, people saying the answer is C. Let's check that. Okay, so what I will do if I were you, we're going to use one of those circle geometry rules. If this angle here is 22, this point here, P and Q, formed an angle at the center. You can also form an angle at the circumference. All you need to do is to take 122 and divide that by 2, and that's going to give you 61. So the answer here is going to be C. That's the answer there, right? What about this one here now? So the diagram shows two triangles, or shows triangles ABC, A prime, B prime, C prime, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, after triangle ABC undergoes a double transformation. What sequence will map ABC onto A prime, B prime, C prime? Now, this is your original triangle here on the left hand side, and your final triangle is this one here. So they want you to say, how did you reach there? How did you reach there? If you look at the first triangle, that's this one here, it maps onto this one here. If you look at it, it's a reflection, because I can find a mirror line here. This line here is your mirror line, Because if I fold the graph paper along that line, triangle ABC is going to line up exactly with A prime, B prime, C prime. Now, what point is that though? This here corresponds to 1. So this mirror line here is x is equal to 1. That's your mirror line here. So to move from triangle ABC onto A prime, B prime, C prime, you're going to reflect it in the line x equal to 1. And then when you look at the next transformation, all you're doing is shifting this triangle this way. And if you look into C, that has to be a translation. And how do we do that translation? All you need to do is to check this. Let's look at, let's say, A prime and A double prime. How do I get there? You're going to go 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 units to the right, to the left, sorry. So that's minus 3. And then you're going to go downwards by 1, 2, 3, 4 units downwards. So that's minus 3, minus 4. So this combined transformation is first a reflection in the line x equal to 1 and a translation. So the answer is going to be E. Right? The next question here. We have a diagram here. It shows a compound shape made up of a rectangle and 2 identical semicircles. The area of the compound shape is given by what? So this compound shape here is a rectangle, 2 semicircles. Now with respect to the dimensions, so this length here is the same as this length here. So how do we do that? That's the radius of the circle. All we're going to do, we're going to take 27 minus 15. So 7 minus 5, you're going to get 2. 2 minus 1, you're going to get 1. So therefore, that total length there is 12 cm. So that means that the radius on the side here is 6 cm. And the radius here is 6 cm. So you want to get the area of the compound shape. So let's start with the rectangle. So the area of the rectangle is going to be length by width, which in this case is 15 multiplied by. So this here is the width of this thing here. So if the radius is 6, it means that this is going to be 12. So that's going to be 15 by 12. 5 2s are 10, 1 2 is 2 and 1 3, 0 5 1. So this is going to be 180, right? So that's the area of the rectangle. That's 180 cm squared. I still need to work out what's the area of the 2 semicircles. Now the area of the 2 semicircles is actually 1 circle. So the area of 2 semicircles is simply going to be pi r squared, right? That's the formula we're going to use. So if you notice, the answers are written in terms of pi. So the radius in this case here is r squared. So that's going to be 6 squared. So that's going to be 36 pi. So that's the area of the 2 semicircles. So therefore, the area of this whole thing, compound shape, is going to be 180 plus 36 pi. Now when you watch your answers here, you're like, which one is it going to be? What you all think is the answer for this one? Yes, that's true. There are variations to some of these questions, right? So you have to be careful. Right, I've seen people saying the answer is B. All right, so if you look at this here, right, none of the answers looking like that right now. So what you could do, you could try to factorize it. So can 36 go into 180? Yes, it can. So what you could do here, you can factor out 36, and this is going to be 5 plus pi. All right, so the answer is going to be B. Right, like somebody said in the chat, there are different versions to this particular question, so just be aware of that. Let's have a look at this question here. So we have a frequency distribution, and this here is grouped data. Okay, it's group data. The number of children who have a mass of at least 41 kilograms. What's the answer for 39? Right, I've seen a lot of people saying the answer is C. Some people saying B. So here's what's happening here. This is group data. So they said at least 41. When they say at least 41, they mean 41 or more. That's what they mean. So it's greater than or equal to 41. 41 or more. So let's put a marker here. So all you need to do, if you want to work out the number of children who have a mass greater than that, you're going to take 12 plus 38 plus 20. So that's 8 and 2 is 10. So that's 3 and 2, 5, and 1, 6, and 1, 7. So you're going to get 70 children having a mass greater than 41. So the answer is going to be C. Alright? So the majority of you all said C, so that's correct. What about this one here? What's the lower limit of the modal class? What is the lower limit of the modal class? Right, so let's see. So the first thing we need to do, we need to figure out what is the modal class. So you go to the table and you're looking to see which one has the highest frequency. So in terms of frequency here, the highest frequency is actually 38. That's the highest frequency. So your modal class is 51 to 60. So this here is 51 to 60. Now read the question carefully. They said the lower limit. The lower limit is simply going to be 51. So the answer is going to be D. That's the lower limit. So be careful of this, right? So the lower limit is actually 51. If the question had asked us for the lower class boundary, if they had asked us for the lower class boundary, then the answer will be 50.5, right? If they had asked us for the lower class boundary, it would have been 50.5. But they asked us for the lower class limit, which in this case is 51. So be careful with the wording. I can see them changing the wording on you in the exam. So be aware of what these things mean. Our next one here, right? I do not like this question at all. but it's here. So the table shows the responses of 100 persons from two ethnic groups, P and R, to a survey about their attitude towards maths. So we have positive, neutral, negative. We have the two ethnicities, P and R. A respondent is selected at random. What's the probability that the selected respondent is of ethnicity P and has a positive attitude towards maths? What is the answer for this one? Now, with these particular questions here, with these tables, sometimes they change the wording of the question. So read it carefully. See some people saying A, some people saying B. Like I said, you need to read it carefully. So let me show you a little trick here. They said a respondent is selected at random, right? A respondent is selected at random. When they tell you a respondent here, we selecting out of 100. If they had told you a selection is made from ethnicity P, then you would have had to use 60 in this case here. So keep that in mind when they're wording the question. So in this case here, what's the probability that the selected respondent is of ethnicity P and has a positive attitude towards maths? So what should we going to do here now? So we need to figure out how many people within ethnicity P and has a positive attitude towards maths. So in this case here, we have 25. 25 people are of ethnicity P and they have a positive attitude towards maths. So that probability is going to be 25 over 100, which is going to be 0.25. So again, be careful with the wording of these questions. They could change up the wording so easily and you can get it wrong. Let's look at this question here. Right, let me make this a little bigger here. So we have a graph here, and we have 3 questions based on this cumulative frequency curve. So the diagram shows the cumulative frequency curve based on the marks of 200 students who took a driving test. Okay, so we have a cumulative frequency curve here. And what do we want? The first part, we want to know what is the median score. So look at this here. What is the median score? Could you all tell me, based on my graph here, what is the median score? Some of you all want hard questions. Let's try this one. Try this one. This part, yeah, I know this one is easy, but there's 3 questions based on this diagram here. Right? Everybody seems to be getting B as the answer. Let's check that. So all you need to do, if you want to work out this here, you're going to take, this is 200 here. You want to get a median, so you're going to find half of that. Now, if I were you in the exam here, let's put in some numbers here. 20, 40, this will be 60, this is 100. So you're reading off at this point here. So you're going here, and then you're going to read downwards. So if I come down here, this is 35. So this is 36, 37. So that looks like about 37.5 based on the diagram. I've seen some questions where I think CXC may have read this thing wrong. So look out, there might be some errors in some of these things. So the answer is going to be 37.5. The next part of the question here, they want to know what's the interquartile range. Right? They want to know what is the interquartile range. So let me just put the question here. Hold on. Now this one is interquartile. It's not semi-interquartile. Alright, have a look at this here. What is the interquartile range? I see some people asking what is interquartile range. Ooh. So interquartile range here, so let me see if you could work this out. Interquartile range is simply our upper quartile, which is Q3 minus Q1. So we need to figure out what those things are. So the first thing we need to do to work out Q1, Q1 will be a quarter multiplied by 200. Now this doesn't give us our answer. This just tells us that we need to read off at 50. That's all that's telling us. So this is 20, 40, 60, 100, 140, 180. Alright? So you're reading off at 50. So if you want to read off at 50, you're going to read off, this is where 50 is here. So you're going to go across. Right? Somewhere here. Now this is a little blurry here, so I'm just gonna approximate here. So to me it's looking like about maybe 29 maybe. If you come down here, that's about 29, right? So that's your lower quartile. So this is 29 approximately, right? It might be off. We have to look at the answers that we have here. We also need to read off at 3/4. So 3/4 of 200. That's gonna be 150. So we're going to read off at 150. 150 is going to be across here. Now again, a lot of these multiple choice papers, they're kind of blurry here, so. Alright, so approximately here, and that's when I read this coming down here now. Probably getting something like 41, 42, 43 maybe. So you're going to have to look to see which one will give us an answer close to this, right? So this here, let's see what's happening here. This is 29. 1 second. I'm just going to put a straight line here. All right, let's see what happens. Right, so it still looks like about 43. And I'm getting a value of 14. So the only thing that's close to that is going to be A, right? That's the only thing that's close to that. I don't know how to get 12.5. All right, so in a case like this, you're looking for the closest answer in this case here. Right, now we have one more part to that question, and this might be the tricky part to that question. Let's see if you all could figure this one out. You all said they wanted hard questions. This one is reasonably hard for some students. So again, we have the same curve here. They said if 38% of the students pass the test, what is the pass mark? 38% of the students pass the test, what is the pass mark? What do you all think is the answer for that one? You all said you wanted something hard, right? Go ahead. Let me see. Right, some people say they think it's B, some people say they think it's C. Let's reason this out here. So the 38% of the students pass the test, right? Now when you have a question like this here, remember our cumulative frequency curve only gives us less than information. That's what a cumulative frequency curve does. It gives us less than information. So 38% of the students pass the test. So that means that, let's take 100 minus 38. Let's figure out how many students fail the exam. So let's borrow from this. This is 9, 10 take away 8 is 2, 9 take away 3 is 6. So therefore 62% pass. So that means we have 62% of the people getting more than a particular score. So let's see how many students that corresponds to. So 62% multiplied by 200 over 1, so that's going to be 6 and 6, 12, so that's 124, right? So 124 students actually got more than whatever the pass mark is. So you can look at it like that, or you can just say, if I just work out 38% multiplied by 200, you're going to get 8 and it's 16, so 76. So 76 students pass the test. So what you could do, you can say, all right, if 76 students pass the test, that means 76 students got more than the pass mark. That's what we say. So let's take 200, that's the total number of students, minus 76. So this is going to be, this is 19, 10. So 10 take away 6 is 4, 9 take away 7 is 2. So we have 124 students who actually failed the test. 124 students failed the test. So you're looking to get, or you're looking to see where is 124. So this here is 140. This is 120 here. If you're going from 120 to 140, that means that every small block or small line is 4 students. So in this case here, we're just reading off at 124, which is around here. And if you come down here, your pass mark is actually going to be 40. That's what the pass mark is. So in this case here, the answer is going to be B. A lot of people said the answer is B, so great, right? Try next one here. You'll find I given 2 easy questions. All right, let's see. Let's try this one here. All right, let's try this one here. All right, I have a question here. I have 2 matrices, A and B, and you want to work out the product AB. What do you all think is the answer for this one here? All right, 1 second. Let me see something here. All right, I'll go back to this question here. I see some people saying the answer is 76. Let me just, I'll go back to it in a sec. All right, let me go back to it in a sec. Let's work out this one here quickly. Okay, people saying Alright, let's check that. So you want to work out a matrix multiplication here. So it's AB you want to work out. You want to work out the product AB. So let's write out the matrix A, which is given by 1, 3, minus 3. This is going to be 3, 0, 5. And you're multiplying that by the matrix B now. Now this matrix B here is 3, 0 to 1, 0, 5. Alright, so now we have to do this row by column thing here now. So row by column, so we're going to take this row and we're going to multiply by this column here. So we're going to get, so that is going to be 1 by 3 plus 3 by 2 plus minus 3 by 0. That's what we're working out here to get that first one. That's the row by column. So 1, 3 is 3. 3 and 6 is 9. So this is going to be 9. So the first number inside that matrix here is going to be 9. That's the first number. Then we're going to do a row by column again. Use a different color here. Let's take this same row here, but let's switch to this column here now. So that will be 1 by 0 plus 3 by 1 plus minus 3 by 5. So let's add this up now. 1 by 0 is 0, 3 by 1 is 3, minus 3 by 5 is minus 15, minus 15 plus 3 is going to give you minus 12. So that's going to be a minus 12 here. If you look at the answers, sorry, minus 12. If you look at the answers here, right, if you look at the answers here, automatically we know the answer should be D, based on the fact that we have a 9 here and a minus 12 here. But just to be safe, let's make sure we're on the right track. To work out the next set, we're going to take this row this time, and we're going to multiply by the same column here. So that's going to be 3 by 3 plus 0 by 2 plus 5 by 5. Let's see what we get here. So 3 by 3 is 9, 5 5s are 25. So that's 25 plus 9. That's going to be 34. Is that correct? That's something kind of wrong though. 3 by 3, then 0 by 2, and then 5 by, oh, this is a 0, sorry. This is a 0 here. So that's going to just give us 9. So this here is going to be a 9. So you notice, so more than likely the answer is D. Let's work out the last one. So we're going to take this row by this last column here. So that's 3 by 0 plus 0 by 1 plus 5 by 5. So this is going to be 0, 3 by 0 is 0, 0 by 1 is 0, 5 by 5 is 25. Yeah, so we show the answer is D here. Show me the answer is D. Alright, so again, this is a combination of questions here. It's not one specific paper. Now let me go back to this question here, where I saw a lot of people saying the answer is 76. Let's check that again. Let's see. It's 40. %. Let's see, 40 is the pass mark. Go up here, get 124. So that means that 124 students got less than 40. So if it's 124, it'll be 200 minus 124. 76. 76 divided by 200. Yeah, so back to this question here. No, the answer is 40. Right? The answer is 40. Right? Okay, yeah, so some people saying something else, but yeah, the answer should be 40 in this case, yeah. Let's look at this question here. Now there are multiple versions to this question here, so just be careful when you're reading this question in the exam. So you have a two-way contingency table here. A male student is picked at random from the group. What's the probability that he does not walk to school on that day? What's the answer for 44? Right, people saying the answer is C. Let's check that. So for this one here, a male student is picked at random. So again, read this question here carefully. They said a male student is selected at random. What that does there that changes what your sample space is. So instead of selecting out of the 200, you're actually selecting out of the males this time here. So the males in this case here is 108. So they said a male student is picked at random from the group. All right, now let me read this properly first. Male students picked at random from the group. What's the probability that he does not walk to school on that day? So a male student is picked from the group. What's the probability that he does not walk on that day? So if he doesn't walk, it means that he could have taken the bus or he could have taken the taxi, right? So what are you all saying for the answer? Let's see what people are saying here. Some people saying C. Right? So again, you're selecting, a male student is selected at random from the group, right? So 50 plus 30, that's going to be 80. So 80 would be bus or taxi, and that is actually out of 108. It's not going to be out of the 200 because they said a male student is picked at random. So in this case, when you reduce this here, you're going to get 20 over 27. So the answer is going to be C in this case here. Okay? I have a next set question for you here because you have variations to some of these questions. Have a look at this question here. It looks similar to one we just did, but it's a little different. The unshaded area is represented by what? If you all not seeing the answers properly, the first one is P prime, the second one is Q prime, next one is P intersect Q prime, and then Q intersect P prime. Which one represents that white area there? Some people saying B, some people saying C, some people not sure. The answer is not A prime, eh? The answer is not, the answer is not A. Eh? This is a different question from what we saw previously. It's a different question. All right, so let's see how we're gonna answer this, right? So they want the white piece, eh? That's what they want. They want the white piece. So we have P here, and we have Q here. So P prime cannot be the answer. That is different from, where is that question? It's one of the first questions we did earlier. This is what we had before. And that white piece there, right? The shaded region in this one would have been P prime. The answer was A. What it did in this question here now, it's a little different. So some people are saying, some people jump in between C and D, and they're not sure which one it is. They said the unshaded piece, eh? The unshaded piece is that white piece there. This white piece inside Q, or what we refer to as Q only. This here is Q only. So how are we going to shade that? Or how are we going to figure that out? So let me show you something here. So you want to get that white piece inside of Q. So to get that, if we take everything outside of P, if I were to shade everything outside of P, everything outside of P is that blue marker there. So we're looking at P prime. And if I were to intersect that, with Q, it means that Q intersecting with that will be this piece here. That is what is common to both of them. So this here is what the answer should be, but you're not going to see an answer like that there. You're going to see Q intersect P prime. So the answer is going to be D. This here is the correct answer, D. Does that make sense? Right, that's all. I've seen a lot of people disagreeing with the answer. Right, let me see what you all saying here. Go back to the last question, reread. Alright, yeah, I'll go back to the last question in a sec, right? Let me just see this one here. Let's talk about this one here. What's going on with this one? Alright, so a lot of people saying the answer is C. Okay, let me show you all something here. Alright, let me show you all something here. Those of you who don't fully understand sets, let me show you something. Alright, so let's say I have two sets here. Let's call that P, let's call that Q. Now, if I were to ask you to shade P complement is basically everything outside of P, right? Everything outside of P here. That's P complement. So it's everything except that circle P. That's what P complement means. All right? So now, let's make this a little more interesting now. If I had P and I had Q and I told you all to shade P intersect Q, P intersect Q is what is common to both of them, what is overlapping. If I were to ask you let's say I had P again and I had Q again, right? Now if I were to tell you to shade P complement intersect Q, if I would ask you P complement intersect Q, P complement, let's deal with that first. P complement is everything outside of P. That's what P complement is, everything outside of P, right? Now you want to intersect that with Q. Now let's use a different color here to represent Q. Everything that represents Q will be all of this inside of Q. All of this here represents Q. But because we're doing an intersection, we need to figure out what shaded region here overlaps with this shaded region here. The only thing that overlaps with both of them there is actually this piece here. This piece here is what overlaps with both of them. So therefore, this is similar to what we're working out on the last question here, where we have P complement Q. So that's why the answer here is going to be Q intersect P complement. That making sense? Right? I hope that makes sense. Some of you all said just go back to the last question here. Let me just go back to the last question. Let's read it again in case I read it wrong. Okay, so shows the mode of transport. A male student is picked at random from the group. All right, let's think about this here. So we have 200 male student. Male student is picked at random from the group. And he does not walk to school on that day. Okay, so we know we're dealing with 80 here. What we're trying to figure out is if we're going to use the 200 or we're using the 108. So let's pick that random. Right, I guess we could put the 200 here. Based on the wording, right? You gotta be careful with the wording here too. So since they say a male student is picked at random from the group, a male student is picked at random from the group. So we're dealing with this row here. Yeah, I guess I could agree with that. I guess I could agree with the 80 over the 200. Let's change that. Right, so that's 8 out of 20, and that's gonna be 2/5. Right, so let's go with that. Right, some people asking where the 80 come from. The 80 is the mode of transport that they said the person not walk. If they didn't walk to school, it means they either took the bus or the taxi. Right? They either took the bus or the taxi. Alright? Alright, so I'm gonna pause there. Right? I'm gonna pause there. I'm sure that you all have seen a lot of questions and done a lot of questions. So, guys, I just want to wish everybody good luck in the exam tomorrow. Read your questions carefully. Read the questions carefully. There may be changes to the wording of the questions, so you have to be careful. Good luck to everyone, right? The paper 2 is worth, the paper 1, sorry, is worth 30% of your final grade. Those of you who didn't do so well in your paper 2, you can make up some marks here, right? So guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Be safe and good luck tomorrow, guys. Later, people.